Film 1. Military leave in the Bay. Europe gave distance to itself. Micho gave me this address. This is his old apartment. Closed for years. The notary gave me the key and notified the administrator that I would come. Everything was fine and windows updated. When he went, I looked into the last room. Nobody had access here. It was dirty and dark and the floor crunched with the corpses of crushed flies. The wardrobe was against the wall. I pulled it back and tore the wallpaper. Round boxes with films were embedded in the wall. I picked them up. There were several of them. I cleaned the room from dust. I ordered a scampi and cold drinks. I took a few bites at once and drank a glass of white. The movies were full of real documentary stories. Micho ordered me to take care of it. I knew what was on them. They are the cruel truth about succubes. High lancets of the cathedral. On them, rosettes and buds extended with a twig slender down to the plinth, without any bulges or twists. Masonry style. The highest bricklayer rank was then not a foreman, but polier. A kind of master over master. And his nadir, the opposite pole was schlitzohr. Craftsmen wore earrings specific to each guild, and the evil and dishonest craftsman was punished with tearing off the earring and tearing a piece of the ear. There was a scar, or schitz. The arches of the cathedral joined under the rosette hiding the most important stone, the keystone. The keystone blocked the arches, giving the whole structure the necessary flowing distribution of forces, which as we know, move along the bars and stabilize the whole structure, even if something moves it sideways. Later, the arches were built in such a way that the keystone became seemingly redundant, or rather it was replaced by a lace or a ring of several smaller stones interlocking in the ring in a circular manner and externally pressed by the ends of the arches together with the buttresses. The principle of the keystone still remains the same, although it seems that the most important stone has been replaced here with their stone. What was happening on the floor above? Here, people were walking and knocking on the stone floor, unaware that a hidden knocking out of the keystone would cause at least part of the colonnade to collapse. We should also remember that due to the weight of the bricks, the ceiling was made as light as possible, so it had to be the thinnest in places where stone rosettes bloomed underneath, where the arms of the columns met. There, the floor was only as thick as the keystone stone. When there was air surrounded by a ring, Collier simply put a tile in this place and that's it. He was master over master. Remember that nobody did any static calculations. The architect drew the shape of the building, and the rest belonged to the bricklayers. If someone tapped a stick there, he could see the lower world through this opening. The high lancets of the cathedral and we go under them. We do not think that several dozen stones keep the entire structure in a static equilibrium. And millions and thousands of crumbs of lime mortar stick only her skin together. Thousands of bricks and stone blocks. The clay cathedral and the burnt stone after stone pulsates with the rhythm of its brick memories and vibrates in the keystones with the tingling of centuries and the voices of masons. We pass by observing painted figures on frescoes and stained glass windows alive with colors, and we do not see the significant force of balance exercising its power here. We are superficial like these frescoes, and we lose our heads for the colored spots. We are afraid of the power of the walls and their coldness. We sense all the events that this wall has hidden, but we will not admit it out loud for any treasures in the world. We are water bags, soft and transient like a soap bubble in symbolist pictures. Ordinary vanity and next to it an ibex and a flower held with virgin fingers looking sideways at steaming rams and treading a book with one foot. We don't know how many stones are building the cathedral. We understand floors with our feet in our shoes, even if in some places they are written with unreadable signs. We are afraid to step barefoot on them. We know that the holy water in the marble bowl in the wall at the entrance is the color of stones. It is soaked with them, and even seems to be the inseparable milk of this stone rock and a source for soaking lascivious fingers that touch the forehead with wetness in the next moment, in a humble gesture. So we live and she stands and vibrates. She remembers all the lives that have entered her. That's why it's a cathedral. People come here to collect their thoughts. Above them a pile of stones and the genius of strength open their mouths. We will not enter the church barefoot for anything. Beginning in chapter TS001. Tutatut at www.kubi.pl